Hello, this is Black Formation, where you don't need to be black to get information or information. A systemic overview, the Breonna Taylor case. I had written this article on September 24th, 2020. An update will be coming soon. There is no American history without black history. If you want to know the character of a country, you need the knowledge of its past, but to know its history, you must learn what it does not teach. White supremacy seems to be a bipartisan agenda. This country is racist down to the core of its foundations, built up into the structures of oppression we are currently witnessing today. We need to be taking a look at not what these politicians say, but what they actually do. Freedom is not free, and this country steals wealth. Malcolm X said in his The Ballot or the Bullet speech that the Republican is a wolf and the Democrat a snake. Later on, he elaborates on this in other speaking engagements. In America, there is no such thing as a Democrat or Republican anymore. In America, you have liberals and conservatives. The only people living in the past who think in terms of I'm a Democrat or Republican is the American Negro. The white liberal aren't white people who are for independence, who are moral and ethical in their thinking. They're just a fraction of white people that are jockeying for power. The same as the white conservative is a faction of white people that are jockeying for power. They are fighting each other for power and prestige. And the one that is the football in the game is the Negro. End quote. Malcolm X. The continual practice of economic, social, and political oppression that this country takes part in was never a conspiracy and not up for political debate. Quote-unquote good trouble will continue across this nation until demands are met. Check out the contract with Black America. I'm going to, as best I can, illustrate this predicament we find ourselves in. There are major keys to the mechanics of maintaining oppression on human rights in America. I will break down the obvious points and provide links below, as always, for further reading on each topic. The field. Mayor Greg Fischer's spokeswoman Jean Porter said in a statement, the mayor is absolutely committed to that work, as evidenced by the city's work to support $1 billion in capital projects there over the past few years, including a new YMCA, the city's foundational $10 million grant to the Louisville Urban League Sports and Learning Complex, the Cedar Street housing development, new business, down payment, home ownership assistance, and of course, the remaking of the large Beecher Terrace initiative, end quote. The Taylor family filed a lawsuit that included renderings of a project from a presentation dated November 2019. The complete presentation obtained by Wave 3 News showed Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend Jamarcus Glover's neighborhood on Elliott Avenue. According to the lawsuit, after the presentation, the area that Glover lived in began being targeted, residents evicted, homes purchased, and then the homes demolished by the city. The Jefferson County Property Value Administrator's website showed that after police arrested Glover the second time, the city moved to purchase the property on Elliott Avenue. He lived 10 miles away from Breonna Taylor, and he was already in custody at the time of her death. The property's deed was signed June 5th, on what would be Taylor's 27th birthday. Louisville and Jefferson County Land Bank Authority bought the home for $1 in June. The fair market value of the home is $17,160, according to the PVA. The tool. Louisville Metro Police Department, LMPD, Place-Based Investigations Unit made the spotlight after a lawsuit filed in the Breonna Taylor shooting, labeled, quote, the Rogue Police Unit, end quote, formed to target people in homes on Elliott Avenue. Lawyers for Taylor's family argued that the LMPD unit went on a crusade using a narcotics investigation to kick people out of homes to make way for a high-dollar legacy-creating real estate project. A 39-page undated report crafting a narrative of legality was written by the LMPD detective after the death of Breonna Taylor and shared with media. Sam, an attorney for Taylor's estate who filed a wrongful death suit April 27th against the city, stated the police department went to great lengths after Breonna Taylor died, in this case received national scrutiny, to dig up all her past. The snake. Mayor Greg Fischer condemns this action. Quote, it is deeply reckless for this information, which presents only a small fraction of the entire investigation, to be shared with the media while the criminal process remains ongoing. It would be unjust to draw conclusions about this case before the investigation is complete and the full truth comes out, in efforts to sway opinion and impact the investigation by releasing select information are wrong and divisive. At a time when our city needs unity more than ever, Mayor Greg Fischer. Louisville Council declares no confidence in mayor over handling of Breonna Taylor case. Quote, I understand that some people are uncomfortable by all this that is taking place. We're at a very unusual time in history of our city and our country between the protests, between COVID. So I would just ask people to lean into this as best they can and accept the ambiguity of it, but keep pushing for equity and more opportunity for everybody, end quote, Mayor Greg Fischer. Fischer declared a state of emergency earlier this week in anticipation of Wednesday's grand jury update on the investigation into Breonna Taylor's death. On September 15th, Louisville Mayor Greg Fischer announced a $12 million settlement with the Taylor family in their wrongful death lawsuit. The settlement does not include an admission of wrongdoing by the city or the police officers involved in the raid, Fischer said. The Wolf. Attorney General Daniel Cameron was overseeing the Breonna Taylor investigation starting in May. Taylor's family wants Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron to release transcripts of the grand jury's proceedings, according to Ben Crump, the family attorney. At the time I wrote this, the transcripts had not been released. Since then they have, and there will be a link in the description below for further reading on that. What did Cameron's office present to the grand jury? That is the question everybody is asking. Ben Crump. Quotes from Cameron. I remain focused on serving the people of Kentucky and delivering on my promise to tackle child abuse, human trafficking, the drug epidemic, and other public safety challenges throughout the Commonwealth. Over the last several years, President Trump and Leader McConnell have worked together to confirm more than 200 federal judges, transforming our judiciary and ensuring the rule of law is upheld for generations, end quote. This article is written on September 24th, 2020. As of then, labeled right now in the article, 127 people were arrested, 16 incidents of looting, 2 cops shot, 9 p.m. curfew in Louisville, and unrest expected to continue in cities across the nation. After news of the 2 LMPD officers shot during Wednesday's protest, Donald Trump offered federal assistance. LMPD Police Chief Robert Schroeder publicly identified the injured officers on Thursday morning and said they are both expected to recover. Kentucky Governor Andy Fischer and Louisville Mayor Greg Fischer both said today, 9/24/2020, that there is currently no need for federal troops to assist local authorities' responses to the latest wave of protests. A suspect in the shooting was arrested Wednesday night and identified Thursday morning, and the Federal Bureau of Investigations Louisville said it is assisting in the investigation. On Wednesday, following the grand jury decision to indict former Detective Brett Hankinson on wanton endangerment charges and not Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly or Detective Miles Cosgrove, the FBI said its investigation remains open. Attorney General Daniel Cameron, whose office handled the state investigation, said on Wednesday that the federal law enforcement is looking at how the police department obtained the search warrant for Taylor's apartment. The FBI Civil Rights Division based in Washington, D.C. is working with the Louisville field office on the investigation. The Civil Rights Division can charge individuals under 9 Title 18 civil rights statutes, including deprivation of rights under the color of law. Those violations include excessive force, false arrest, obstruction of justice, or deprivation of medical care. BLM Louisville said in a news release about its demands for Fischer and local authorities, quote, "We will no longer be silent or complicit to the injustices perpetrated in the name of white supremacy. Today and for all days to come, we will continue to demand justice, seek accountability, and fight for real change," end quote. Tamika Palmer says she wants officers who killed her daughter to be charged. Quote, "Even in the very beginning of this year, she kept saying 2020 was her year. She was absolutely right," end quote.